As many of you know, for the previous month, there was a request for individuals to send me information about their holiday traditions. I was fortunate to receive 6 delightful stories from 6 members of our congregation. It also gave me a chance to reflect upon my Christmases from the past, especially from my childhood, and it really brought some insight into some things that I experienced in my childhood. As I share these stories with you, there will be a musical cue that describes something about each tradition. Renee Quick Ratchford recalled her happiest memories from her childhood. When she was a child, one of their family traditions was to go to the woods to chop down a Christmas tree. Her family, however, lived in the suburbs, and they certainly didn't own any woods. So as an adult, she admits there must have been some trespassing and theft involved in this business. But regardless, it was an annual event that would fill their hearts with holiday cheer. Renee's dad was never along for this activity, and I'm thinking he probably thought at least one member of the family should maintain a good relationship with the law. So after the rest of the Quicks arrived in the woods, they would scout around for the perfect Quick family tree. With 4 kids all running amok in the woods, somebody would inevitably get lost. Renee would start wailing that they would never find their way out and that they were all going to die in the woods. She does confess that she was somewhat of a dramatic child. She still is. Renee decided that during this adventure, they would collectively lose their spatial intelligence and ultimately select a tree that was far too big for their house. Their home had 8-foot ceilings, but they usually selected a tree that was at least 20 feet tall. After chopping the tree down with an axe, they would tie it to the radiator grill on the front of their car, and it would extend at least 6 feet beyond the trunk. When they got home with this enormous Grinch tree, her father would promptly cut off 12 feet so they could fit the tree into their living room. After the tree was in place, they would begin decorating. They made a lot of their own ornaments with egg cartons, but Renee's favorites were the ones they made by looping starched string over balloons. And after you popped the balloon, you got to shake glitter on it. Cynthia Page started a holiday tradition when her daughter and son were living in her home.
Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
She had a couple of 3-dimensional advent calendars with doors that opened and space for putting small surprises. She told her grandson, who was then just 3 years old, that the Advent elves would come on December 1st, and when he awoke in the morning, he could see if they left him anything. She also told him that the elves, like Santa, knew if he had been kind and helpful. He would know if he had been kind and helpful. One of the calendars always contained a gold-wrapped chocolate coin, a real coin, or some other small candy. The other calendar, with the larger compartments, contained a small car, a Lego figure, or some other fun little toy. As he grew older, the toys got a little larger. Books, larger cars, transformers, and other larger items. So the elves had to resort to writing a clue in the form of a poem and put that into the compartment. The clue led her grandson to a place where he would find a present. This is the 6th year that they will be helping the Advent elves. Her grandson doesn't live with her now, but he comes over every morning so she can take him to school. She asked him if he still believed in the elves, and he assured her that he does. I mean, what's to lose? She says this has been a great way for him to stop and think about his behavior and how he treats others when he's reminded that the elves are watching. Dee Dee Ravenlose's fondest memories of the holidays were spent at her grandparents' house. On the years her mom was working as a nurse, she would go to her grandma and grandpa Craven's house. It was fun because they opened presents, starting with the youngest child, and since she was the youngest, she always got to go first. On years when her mother wasn't working, they would go to her mother's parents' house, Grandma and Grandpa Larson. The Grandma and Grandpa Larson weren't very affectionate physically or verbally, but the food was always prepared eloquently from scratch and was full of love. They never went home hungry. After being with the extended family, they would come home and open one present from their parents. It was always a new pair of pajamas. Then her dad would read the Christmas story from the Bible. When she was about 8 or 9, she woke up sometime after midnight and went to see if Santa had come yet. She was shocked to see her dad putting out presents, and she quickly returned to bed not knowing how to make sense of what she had seen. She told her mom the next day, and her mother told her that she simply needed to believe in the spirit of Santa and not just the physical character. This I got from Mary Arno.
On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me marriage equality.
That was a choir's idea. Mary Arno recalls a favorite family tradition of picking 1 or 2 families and celebrate the 12 days of Christmas, starting on the 13th of December. They would use symbols of Christmas for 8 of the nights and treats for 4 of the nights. Some of the symbols they included were: the bells ring in the joy of Christmas, the bow reminds us we are all tied together in love, the candles remind us to let our light shine, the angels sang the joyful announcement of Jesus' birth, the bright star was a sign of the promised Messiah, and the candy canes reminds us we are all shepherds and should all take care of each other. On the 12th night, her whole family delivered a homemade pie and sang on the 12th day of Christmas. Half of the fun was figuring out how to deliver the gifts and not getting seen or caught. This could involve knocking and running, delivering late at night or early in the morning, or having someone else ring the doorbell and deliver the item. Sometimes the family receiving the gifts figured out who was delivering the items, but usually they did not. They did this for many years, and some of her children are still carrying on this tradition. I got this from Diana Priest.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane.
Both of Diana's parents had difficult childhoods, so she is amazed that they were able to make Christmas so wonderful for her and her siblings. Her mother always decorated their house to the nines and baked lots of treats. There were many different kinds of cookies, cakes, and fudge, as well as a big Christmas dinner. It was her dad's job to put the lights on the outside of the house and on the Christmas tree, and Mom and the kids decorated the tree. Since they lived in the mountains of Colorado, they had a forest in their backyard. Her dad would go into the woods every year to select a Christmas tree. He would pick a tall one and just cut off the top, which didn't kill the tree. She thinks there are probably a lot of funny-looking trees out there today. Her parents loved music and they often played records, but even more so at Christmas time. Her parents really enjoyed dancing, and many times out of the blue when music was playing, her dad would hold out his hand to her mom and they would start dancing away in their living room. Sometimes the kids would join in too. On Christmas morning when they got up, they weren't allowed to open presents until they were all together. They could, however, look in their stockings to see what Santa brought, always a toy and some treats. She doesn't recall religion being a part of their Christmas celebrations. It was more about spending time together as a family. She continues to try and make Christmas special for us in the Priest house. We too have occasional living room dance parties. Her dad is gone now and her mother is 80 years old, but she tries to follow her mother's example because she always kept the spirit of Christmas alive for them. To this day, if she asks her mother if Santa is real or not, her mother adamantly believes in the big guy. So now, if one of her own family members is acting Scrooge-like or telling her that Santa is not real at Christmas time, she says to them, "If the Polar Express comes to your house, get on and enjoy the ride." I got this from Dan Arnault. Dan's family lived in Puerto Rico for 4 years when he was 6 to 10 years old. While they were there, they celebrated what was then, and probably still is, the main Latin American holiday of the year, Three Kings Day. Three Kings Day occurs each year on January 6th. In the Catholic Church, this is known as Epiphany, also known among other things as the Christian feast day or the Day of the Lights. The holiday marks the biblical adoration of baby Jesus by the three kings, also referred to as wise men or magi. According to the Gospel of Matthew, the men found the divine child by following the North Star across the desert for 12 days to Bethlehem, Melchior, Casper, and Balthazar, representing Europe, Arabia, and Africa, respectively. They traveled by horse, camel, and elephant in order to present baby Jesus with three symbolic gifts. From the 25th of December to the 6th of January is 12 days. For many Christians, the holiday season doesn't officially end until the 12th day of Christmas, known as the Feast of Epiphany, or Three Kings Day. Their tradition in Puerto Rico is the same as all the other young children. On the night of the 5th of January, they would put out an offering of grass for the camels of the three kings. On the morning of the 6th of January, the grass would be gone, and in its place there would be gifts. Similar to Santa coming down the chimney and leaving gifts, in this case, the three kings would come and leave gifts. As a family, they didn't consider the Christmas season to be over until the 6th of January. Dan's parents, to this day, still leave up their Christmas decorations until January 6th. Like many children, I really looked forward to Christmas with my family. I remember helping my father put lights on our house. We would go to a Christmas tree farm to cut down a tree and take it home in our station wagon. My father would struggle getting the tree into a stand, and then my mother would put lights on the tree, and then Mom and the kids would hang ornaments on the tree. I always enjoyed looking at our beautiful tree and enjoyed the scent of pine in our home. We had a creche under our tree that I so enjoyed looking at, touching, and feeling. It had all the usual characters, baby Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and the three wise men, and all of the animals. I studied that creche for hours and can still see it in my mind. But I must confess that Christmas at my house was not always a pleasant experience. My father, as a small businessman, was charged with completing an inventory of his company's music store every December. It was a rather tedious job that involved tallying the value of all of the musical instruments, accessories, and parts in the store. And this was all done without computers. When we got older, my father hired my siblings and me to help with the inventory, which we enjoyed because we got to earn some extra money. But it was challenging to estimate the value of so many things like clarinet reeds, trumpet mouthpieces, violin rosin, and saxophone swabs. Since the purpose of the inventory was to determine the company's profit and to pay the correct amount of taxes, the importance of the job weighed heavily on my father's mind. He voiced expletives as he was trying to get the Christmas tree into the blankety blank Christmas tree stand. I remember my mother being taken aback by this incident, and the following year she was careful to procure a more user-friendly Christmas tree stand that helped us to set up the tree without the extra colorful language. As a family, we knew that my father struggled with December, but we all tried to get through as best as we could. Since Dad was an only child, he felt a special relationship with his cousins. One Christmas Eve, the phone rang to inform my parents that one of my dad's cousins was killed in a car accident. That certainly put a damper on the Christmas festivities that year. So like many adults today, my dad certainly had his share of difficulties in December. In later years, my dad scheduled a family skiing trip before Christmas that he really enjoyed, and it helped him to take a vacation from business-related problems. The music store also, thankfully, was able to move the annual inventory to the summer months, which helped to alleviate December frustrations. So December is the time of the solstice. We are a part of a long history of human events built around the uncertainties of the waning sun. All of these traditions we've heard today have their origins in events that were born and developed as the light is fleeing from our daily lives. If you feel your life is disturbed in December and you seek a return to normal, you are in good company. But rather than be disturbed by the bleak midwinter, instead join the celebration of the returning sun. Take this time to shine your light upon everyone you meet. Embrace the irregularities of the holiday season and simply accept that as a species, we have been embracing the solstice for thousands of years. And although it disrupts our lives, it is a time to celebrate the return of the sun, generosity, goodwill, and hope for the future. Blessed be.